Can I ask you something? What exactly is Aemeath right now? We saw her at the end of Chapter 3, Act 3, a body sitting there, peaceful. But that body wasn't her. It was empty, hollow. And the real Aemeath, her consciousness, her frequency, the thing that makes her her, is trapped on the other side of a gate, inside a cosmic horror that eats civilizations for breakfast. And that leaves us with a massive problem. If her hardware is here, but her software is scattered across a dimension where time and space don't even exist, what does saving her actually mean? Are we just going to download a backup file and pretend it's the same person? Or are we attempting something that completely defies physics? I went down a rabbit hole. Black hole thermodynamics, quantum entanglement, failed Fractious experiments. And what I found completely changed how I look at void space. Because I don't think we're just going on a rescue mission in 3.3. I think we're about to solve the impossible problem of resurrecting the dead. So grab a seat, get comfortable. Today we're talking about quantum ghosts, broken souls, and how to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. Before we get wild with theory, we need to slow down. What actually happened in Chapter 3? The game uses very specific language, and it's easy to miss. Aemeath isn't alive in the traditional sense. She calls herself a digital ghost. Years ago, during a resonance overclock, her physical body was torn apart inside a cockpit simulation. Biologically, she ceased to exist. But instead of passing on, her frequency tethered itself to the exostrider's reactor core. She calls that core her heart. It's the anchor that stopped her from dissolving. But here's the catch: void space isn't just darkness. It's described as a high dimensional domain embedded in void matter. Anything living that enters it suffers frequency dissolution. Linear time breaks down. Space collapses into chaos. So when we see that shell at the end, we're staring at a paradox. Her hardware, the exoswarm shell, is right in front of us. But her software, her mind, her frequency, is scattered across a non-linear dimension. How do you reassemble a person when their body and soul exist in two different realities? Because one thing is clear: it's going to happen. Theory A, the obvious answer, what I call the grab and go, Hollywood version. Rover flies into the Strider Gate, finds Aemeath, grabs her hand, pulls her out. Cue the music. There's just one problem. Void space doesn't behave like a prison cell. It behaves like a blender. The law says living entities undergo frequency dissolution. That doesn't mean she's sitting somewhere waiting for rescue. It means her frequency has been dispersed. Imagine drawing on paper. That's Aemeath in normal space-time. Now crumple it, shred it, throw the pieces into a tornado. That's void space. If Rover flies in, there's nothing to grab. She isn't localized, she's distributed across the entire domain. Trying to pull her out physically would be like catching smoke with a fishing net. You can't solve a data problem with brute force. Theory B, memory reconstruction. The reactor core has recorded her imprints for years. It lets her manifest. So why not rebuild her? Print a new Aemeath from the saved data. Put it into that empty shell. Done. Except the game has already warned us about this. Frolova. She tried to preserve human consciousness. She fused frequencies of the dead with tacit discord bodies. It failed. The creatures could mimic speech, but they lacked the original consciousness. The dark tide cannot sustain or preserve original human consciousness. So if we rebuild Aemeath from backup data, we're not saving her, we're creating a copy. A copy that remembers being her, acts like her, thinks it's her. But the original stream of consciousness? Still trapped. This is the ship of Theseus, but with a soul. And I don't think Rover would settle for a replacement. So if we can grab her, and we can't copy her. What's left? This is where it gets wild. The black hole information paradox. Specifically, the Hayden-Preskel protocol. Relax, no math lecture. Here's the simple idea. Information can never truly be destroyed. If you throw a book into a black hole, the information isn't deleted. It's scrambled, mixed so thoroughly it looks like noise, but it's still there. Voidspace behaves like a fast scrambler. Aemeath's frequency wasn't erased, it was encrypted, entangled into the fabric of Aleph 1. Now here's the key. In the Hayden-Preskel model, to decode scrambled information, you need something outside that's quantumly entangled with what's inside. And what do we have? The reactor core. She calls it her heart. She's synchronized with it for years. In quantum terms, it is maximally entangled with her consciousness. This is why Aemeath is different from Frolova's failures. Frolova scooped decaying fragments from the mud. Aemeath has a key, a stable, entangled reference in the physical world. That changes everything. Rover doesn't need to find her, Rover needs to decode her. Theory C, Resonant Re-embodiment. Here's how it plays out. Rover enters the Strider Gate, but instead of searching for a girl, Rover uses the reactor core to broadcast a signal. Because the core is entangled with her, it acts like a magnet for her specific frequency. The void reacts. What looks like chaos begins to organize. Through a unitary reversal, unmixing the die, Rover pulls her scattered frequency back into coherence. This solves the clone problem. We're not photocopying her, we're taping the shredded original back together. The Exostrider handles the data. The core provides the key. And Rover? Rover provides the observation. Rover is a high-frequency observer. Remember Ayuno. Since you still remember Ayuno, you've essentially anchored her. Observation anchors existence. By observing the decrypted signal, Rover collapses her probability wave, from scattered chaos to singular being. And once her frequency stabilizes, that empty shell at the station becomes a vessel. The ghost returns to the machine. If this is true, void space doesn't destroy, it preserves. Aleph 1 isn't just a monster, it's an archive, a graveyard of civilizations, but not erased ones, scrambled ones. Every world the Threnodian devoured still exists, encrypted, waiting for the right key. And if Rover can retrieve Aemeath, who else could be restored? Are we just saving one life? Or are we rewriting cosmic extinction? It changes the stakes, quietly, completely. That's my take on the ultimate rescue mission. Physical rescue is too simple. Memory reconstruction contradicts established lore. Resonant re-embodiment fits the emotional and scientific framework this story keeps building. But I want to hear your thoughts. Is the reactor core the key, or am I overextending the quantum physics? There are still threads left.